Welcome to today's Explainer. Usually, we're unpacking dense research papers or giant datasets, right? But today, we're looking at something incredibly unique. We're diving into a fascinating document, a script, and a highly specific blueprint designed to distill what a lot of people consider the absolute greatest encounter in sports history into a relentless, 60-second vertical experience. We're going to explore exactly how modern media creation, specifically using AI tools, attempts to capture the raw, brutal reality of the legendary 1975 boxing match between Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier. It's an amazing look at how history gets packaged for the digital age, so let's dive right in.
So let's look at the script's hook. The source document dictates that the first 10 seconds of this vertical video must utilize a sharp split screen. You've got Ali looking furiously into the camera on top and Frazier aggressively shadowboxing down on the bottom. But the real anchor here? It's the audio. The script utilizes Ali's own chilling words to immediately establish the sheer life-or-death stakes of this narrative. By opening with the quote, "the closest thing to dying that I know of," the script guarantees you understand instantly that this wasn't just a sporting event. No, it was a matter of sheer human survival. It just grabs your attention and absolutely refuses to let go.
Which brings us to our first section, the ultimate encounter.
Categorized strictly under encounters and games within its organizational structure, to truly understand this document, we first have to understand its constraints. The script explicitly targets a 60-second runtime in a vertical 9:16 format. Think about that for a second. This means every single frame, every single word literally has to earn its keep. It demands incredibly fast, punchy pacing. And the visual style instructions, they're brilliant. It calls for kinetic/archival film grain. Basically, the blueprint is telling the creator, or in this case the AI, to bridge the gap between our hyper-fast scrolling habits and the gritty, visceral reality of a 1970s boxing broadcast. It's all about making history feel alive and dangerous, right on your phone screen.
Moving along to Section 2, Inside the Oven.
Looking at the setup portion, covering the 10 to 30 second mark, the script calls for fast, rhythmic cuts of brutal punches in slow motion, just to establish this utterly ruthless environment. But, the physical strikes are really only half the story here. It brilliantly uses a very specific data point for drama. The arena temperature was pushing a staggering 120 degrees. The script directs the background to glow this harsh, sweltering yellow, complete with a vintage thermometer graphic rapidly climbing. It describes these two bitter titans, who, by the way, absolutely despised each other, as being locked inside an oven, fighting for the undisputed soul of boxing. I mean, it's just an incredibly evocative way to make the viewer almost physically feel the stifling, dangerous conditions of that arena in the Philippines.
Next up, Section 3, A War of Attrition.
As the script transitions into the climax, spanning the 30 to 45 second mark, it dictates a massive tonal shift. The visuals are meant to become deeply claustrophobic, zooming in super tight on the fighters' battered faces. But more importantly, the roar of the crowd, it's completely gone. The script demands the audio drop away to just heavy, exhausted breathing and a slow heartbeat. It's basically telling us, look, this wasn't a boxing match anymore. This was a war of attrition. And this brilliantly illustrates the horrific physical toll in the 14th round. On one side of the ring, you've got Joe Frazier, whose eyes were swollen completely shut. He was quite literally fighting blind, relying purely on instinct and heart. And then across the ring, Muhammad Ali was so utterly depleted, just entirely drained of everything he had, that he was actually begging his corner to literally cut his gloves off. The script forces us to confront the absolute limits of human endurance by contrasting these two terrifying states of complete physical collapse.
This dichotomy continues right into the script's aftermath sequence, during the final 15 seconds of the video. The visual cue calls for a white towel flying across the screen in slow motion. Frazier's trainer throws it in to save his fighter's life. The story then splits again to show the contrasting realities of this absolute war. Frazier remains on his stool, shaking his head, denied the chance to go out on a shield. Ali, upon realizing he's actually won, stands up in victory, only to instantly collapse to the mat. The script captures the true essence of the greatest encounter in sports history by showing us that, in the end, victory and defeat looked almost identical. Just absolute terrifying exhaustion.
And that brings us to Section 4, the production blueprint.
Now, what's really interesting here is the meta-narrative. Because this isn't just a historical script written for a human editor, it's a highly precise production blueprint intended to guide an AI tool. It's essentially a window into how we prompt artificial intelligence to synthesize human history and raw emotion. The document lays out 4 exact steps for a Gemini notebook to execute this vision. Steps 1 and 2 just involve saving and uploading the text, but notice the crucial instruction in Step 2. Include a Wikipedia link for the Thrilla in Manila. The author knows that to generate compelling and accurate content, the AI really needs extra factual grounding beyond just the emotional script. Step 3 strictly selects the short vertical format to constrain the runtime. And finally, Step 4 introduces the absolute most critical elements of the entire process, the steering prompt.
So this steering prompt acts almost like a digital creative director. Just look at the specific verbs and adjectives being used here. It says, deliver a fast, rhythmic, and punchy vertical video. Use relentless pacing. Emphasize the brutal physical toll. The tone should be intense and exhausting. You see, the prompt isn't just asking for a dry summary of facts, it's straight up demanding an emotional resonance. It's programming the AI to mirror the actual grueling nature of that 14th round. It's honestly kind of fascinating how we have to use such evocative human language just to get a machine to output a product that actually makes us feel something.
As we wrap up this explainer, we're really left to ponder this massive structural constraint. The source document elegantly states that both men left a piece of themselves in that ring forever. It was a monumental, life-altering event. So the big question this blueprint leaves us with is this: can 60 seconds of vertical, kinetic, AI-generated video truly capture the massive weight of that history? Well, it's a real testament to the power of structured storytelling and precise prompting that it gets incredibly close. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive today. I really hope this changes how you look at the short-form historical content popping up on your feeds.